Hi again, this is Monica Miatello. This is my question and answer blog, and one of the questions that I always get asked when I'm speaking is, when did you realize you were different? It's a really interesting question because it, it it changes. Well, for me, it's not changing, obviously. I was 5 years old and I realized I was different. Back then, there wasn't a lot of information. I mean, to be gay in the late 1960s, that was outrageous. Trans? What the heck? Nobody was trans. Like, just the condition existed but didn't exist, if you know what I mean. So I knew I was different, and I didn't really know how different I was. I knew that I liked women. Like, when I started to become sexually aware, I knew that I liked women, but I still was different, and I still identified with women. I like to dress like women, and I wished I could wake up as a woman. Trans children, you'll often hear stories about praying when they go to bed that they can wake up in the other gender. So I went through all of that. I'm 53 years old now, so 48 years ago, I was coming to this realization that I was different, and you can only imagine how a little person in that closed of an environment, socially, it was just where we were at as a history, how difficult that could have been. I don't personally think it was difficult. I survived it. I suppose, a shark attack's not too bad if you survive it, right? Like, if it kills you, it's bad, right? So I really, people say, wow, that must have been horrible. And when I think about it, I think, wow, it must have been horrible. But I don't remember it being horrible. I had a great family and a great support network, and a very loving, large Italian family around me. So I realized early on, it took several years to suss it out and figure that I wasn't just a transvestite. You go through these levels, like, you realize you're different, and then by chance in grade 8 I heard a story about a transvestite, and I thought, okay, that must be what I am. I like to dress up. Okay. And I lived with that for a long time, and I thought I might have been a transsexual, but the odds seemed so astronomical against it that I thought, how could this happen to me? Why? Like, it was akin to winning the lottery, only winning the lottery would be good luck. As a young person, I thought this was pretty bad luck. So, years later, when I started to submerge myself in the female role and didn't want to come back, I realized that I must be transsexual. And we'll talk about. I'm sure we're going to talk about the gender and sexuality question in later segments. One of the reasons I thought I wasn't transsexual was because I wasn't attracted to men, and my brain, my logical brain, thought, why would I want a woman's body if I wasn't going to be with men? That is reflective of the times. Like I say, gay people were pretty marginalized. So to have surgery to become a gay woman, really, what was that all about? So you really have to stretch your mind and stretch your ability to think back, especially if you're younger. I mean, people my age probably can figure it out, probably think back and say, okay, yeah, that was horrible. You really have to stretch your mind to think back and say, what the times were like, and try to imagine yourself in those times. It's almost like, trying to imagine, yourself at any point in history, at the time of Christ, with the dinosaurs. We really, it's an exercise in fantasy to try to get there and try to feel and understand what it was like. But, I survived it. I think it made me a better person. I really like being the compilation of of an individual that I was and I am and who I will be. I mean, my life has been anything but um, boring. I refer to myself as the Forrest Gump of transsexuals because I tend to fall into situations that most people don't fall into, and it's really odd for me to fall into them. But that's just me, my personality, my outgoing ways, the way people relate to me. So I realized early on, but it's been a lifelong discovery process, and I can tell you, even within the last couple of months, I have discovered some new things about myself. So it's an ongoing thing. So for those of you out there who are maybe going through this or feel like you might be going through this, understand that it's a lifetime journey. Thank you.